The Boston Celtics' biggest strength might be also their biggest flaw. And I want to talk about what I mean by that in this video and why I am a little bit concerned about their chances to repeat this season. Now, I am by no means saying that this Celtics team cannot repeat as champions. They are absolutely one of the three best teams in the NBA and the three biggest contenders to win a title. And in terms of championship chances, I would still probably put them second. My prediction before the season started was Thunder over Celtics in the finals. I'm sticking with that prediction. I think they'll probably still make the finals. The honest truth is, though, they are not the dominant team they were last year. And part of that, yes, is due to the improvement of some of these other teams in the NBA. But part of it is due, I think, to their reliance on the three ball. Their spacing and their ability to play five out at pretty much all times, except for when Luke Cornett is on the court, is part of what makes them so dangerous offensively. A fully healthy Celtics team that has both KP and Al Horford at their disposal as big men and everybody else on the court with the ability to at least capably shoot an open three is a very, very terrifying matchup for any NBA team because they can space the floor so well and they have these athletic, physical, off the dribble creators like Jason Tatum, like Jaylen Brown that can do a ton of incredible things. The problem is, I think they rely so much on the three ball that it leads to a game like tonight where, in all honesty, they shot themselves out of winning this game in the second half. In the first half, they set an NBA record for 3-pointers attempted in a half with 36 and made 15 of them, which is about 41 and a half, almost 42% from three. Extremely impressive stuff. Then in the second half, they shot 5 for 27, aka below 20%. That's how you lose a basketball game, plain and simple. Hi, Archer. In a game that they obviously, I think, wanted to win, that had in a lot of ways a playoff environment and was a huge game against probably the other co-favorite to win the title, they were not able to get the job done. And the Thunder didn't have J-Dub tonight. Now the J-Dub situation could be a real concern for the Thunder, considering there's no real timetable for his return at this point. If that impacts their roster and their playoff chances, that could matter. But tonight, the Celtics just didn't shoot the ball well enough down the stretch of this game. Outside of Derek White and Al Horford, who were a combined 12 for 24, the rest of the team goes 8 for 39. That's just not going to cut it, plain and simple. Jaylen Brown was bad tonight. He's had a lot of questionable games this year, has not been the same caliber of player this year as he was last year, and that continued tonight, also capping off in legitimately one of the worst sixth fouls I've seen in a while. Just a terrible, completely unnecessary and blatant foul on Chet Holmgren by Jaylen Brown that he then protested, which made no sense. It was an extremely obvious foul and an extremely just unaware dumb foul by Jaylen Brown that honestly frustrated me as a fan because it just was not a play that made sense, and it kind of wasted a, yes, somewhat inefficient but very good performance by Jason Tatum with 33 points, 8 rebounds, 8 assists, although he didn't do a ton down the stretch of this game. Al Horford was awesome again, really has been awesome for years now. I mean, he's just so impressive that he's 38 years old, able to play at this level still. But Drew Holiday, same story. He was so efficient from three last year. The best corner three-point shooter in the entire league, goes 1 for 7 tonight, has also been down from the three-point line tonight. I actually thought Peyton Pritchard played really well on the defensive end of the court, really competed and gave SGA some problems at times in the third quarter of this game, and kind of made him a little bit less effective down the stretch than you would anticipate. But at the same time, they shot themselves out of this game. And it's concerning because when you have this elite level floor spacing, you should be able to take advantage of that and create open shots at the rim at a higher clip than basically any other team. And now you have to give the Thunder their credit. They are the best defensive team in basketball and played an awesome defensive game tonight, especially in the second half. When you hold the defending champions and one of the better offensive teams in basketball in the Celtics to 52 points and a half, that's extremely good. At the same time, this was not a good game for the Celtics, and it was the type of game that kind of provides the blueprint for why I am concerned about this team, because in a Eastern Conference that is much better than last season, I mean, say what you will about the Knicks and their struggles against top tier teams, they're better than they were last year, and they do look like a extremely competitive threat in the East. And then the Cavs, who are playing ridiculously high level of basketball, have won 15 games in a row for the second time this season, are having their best season in franchise history, and that's a pretty impressive franchise history when you've had a lot of years with LeBron in there. The East is tough. And that's not to take away from teams like the Bucks and the Pacers and the Pistons as well, that have been competitive, high-level basketball teams. I mean, the Pacers and Pistons have been top 10 teams in basketball for the last 3 months, basically. Now, like, this Eastern Conference is absolutely not the pushover that it was last year. And while I don't think the Celtics are going to have a hard time at all getting out the first round, after the first round, you are looking at likely series against the Knicks and the Cavs. Those are going to be tough series to win to even make the finals, in which case you could very easily find yourself up against one of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and company and the Thunder, who look like the best team in the league, the Denver Nuggets with Nikola Jokic, or the Lakers with LeBron and Luka. Not easy matchups, any of those matchups and any of those teams, especially if they are healthy. And I just think that it's such a tougher road this year than it was last for the Celtics, that their flaws as a shooting team at times, despite on paper numbers that are extremely impressive, are really concerning. Because if you go cold a couple times in a series against an elite level team like Cleveland or OKC, you could really put yourself at risk of losing those series, especially considering they're not going to have home court advantage in a series against Cleveland were that matchup to happen. And that feels like an extremely likely conference finals matchup in the Eastern Conference. So the problem here, when you look at the 3-point percentages, as a team, they're still a 37% team from three this year. KP, when healthy, is a difference maker on the floor, especially as a floor spacer and a shooter. But the thing about KP is there is no guarantee whatsoever that you're going to be able to rely on him consistently health-wise in down the stretch of the playoffs and in the finals. And I don't know if this season they're going to be able to overcome that the way that they were last season. Al Horford has been awesome and is still shooting over 40% from three in his own right. No, I'm sorry. He's only 36% from three. I was looking at Sam Hauser's number, but still, I think they've gotten a lot of contributions from a lot of guys. Derek White might be the best third, fourth, fifth option in all of basketball. I mean, he is just so good, so consistently as well. But Jaylen Brown, only 32% from three this year, has really had a down year across the board shooting the ball. Drew Holiday has dropped off significantly from what he was shooting last year. And some of these guys who are not shooting the ball well in combination with Tatum, as great of a player as he is, never having been an extremely hyper efficient 3-point shooter and continuing to not be this year. 35.5% is fine, but it's not special. It's concerning because they have these guys on the court that are very capable of going cold. And that's how you lose playoff series, is against elite level teams, is your offense goes cold and you wind up in these tough situations. And look, you look at the advanced numbers as a whole, they're a great team. 119 offensive rating puts them third best in basketball. Defensive rating of 110.1 puts them fifth best in basketball. They have the third best net rating in basketball at a 9 points per 100 possessions better than their opponent. Like, they're an awesome team, and I don't want to take away from them in the slightest with those numbers, but I have to say I'm concerned because this year they're shooting 47.5% or 47.5 3-pointers per game at a 37% clip. Still a top 6 number in basketball. Very good. But last year, when they won the title, they shot 5 less threes a game, and they shot them at the second highest clip in the game at in the league at 38.8%. That almost 2% difference at 3-point shooting 5 attempts or more a game, makes them, in my opinion, a lot more vulnerable to having serious struggles, especially when you look at a path to the finals that is going to be much harder than it was last season. And while I am not counting them out in the slightest and would not be surprised at all if they won the finals, that is the biggest concern for me of this team that I feel like could be the fatal flaw that loses them a series in the playoffs, is if they go cold here in a couple of games and have moments like they did tonight where they shoot 20% for a half and they just continue to jack up threes at an ungodly rate while missing most of them. That's how you lose. Plain and simple, it is. And I'll probably notice me playing with him. He's been distracting me all video. He's got a lot of energy, so I've been playing with the dog a little bit. But I hope y'all did enjoy the video. If you did, make sure you hit that like button, leave a comment, and subscribe. I'll be back with more NBA content very soon, and I appreciate y'all. Peace.